Well, we've got a few questions now in this morning view to Christine Hamilton and India Willoughby to share their views on the stories we're talking about. Ladies, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Yeah, well, first of all, what are we going to do as regards masks? So it was reported that face masks may soon have to be worn in all public places. We know that from Friday, 24th of July, they will become mandatory in England in shops from them. Christine, are you going to wear a mask? Have you any objections? What do you think?
Well, obviously, if they're mandatory, as a law-abiding citizen, of course I'll wear a mask. What I worry about all this is that people are getting an exaggerated feeling of risk. And in fact, the vast majority of deaths have been the over 80s. And I mean, people in my bracket, the 60s, the 70s, are very vulnerable. But for most people, the chances of getting it, and certainly the chances of dying, young people in particular, but it's the transmission to somebody who is vulnerable. So I feel very conflicted about this, but I certainly don't think, and the government seem to be disagreeing about this, that they should be in the workplace, because you're socially distanced in the workplace, otherwise you can't go back, and you're with the same people, as it were. It's not like going into a shop where you're meeting goodness knows who briefly. So I think in shops, fine. But yes, of course, I shall be obeying the law.
Yeah. India, the way they're painting it for shops is it's not for your protection. It's for the staff who are in the shops. It's for their protection.
Absolutely. And when you look at the stats, if you work in retail at the moment, these poor people who've been helping us through the crisis, you are at more risk of contracting coronavirus. Look, this policy, it's thinner than a new Adele look-alike. There is no substance to it. You look around the country, and to me, I think people are just making their own minds up now. They're not really listening to the government anymore because there have been so many flip-flops back and forth. I don't think it is a burden to ask people to wear a mask. I mean, how hard is that to do?
If the politicians don't, India, and we saw Michael Gove coming out of a coffee shop, collecting his lunch or breakfast.
Yeah, but in fairness to him, but he was doing that before the policy was announced. I think that's a bit unfair, really.
Yeah, but at this point, a lot of people had been wearing masks. If you know, he must have known that this was coming. You know, if you're going to ask the general public to do that, surely you have to set an example.
There seems to be a certain amount of disagreement at high places in government, and Michael Gove and Matt Hancock. I heard Matt Hancock on the radio this morning. He was asked about Michael Gove, and his reply was, he said, "I'm not interested." In other words, I don't care what Michael Gove thinks. This is my policy, and this is what we're going to do. But I do agree that it is slightly unfair to take an old photograph and apply it to now. I think if Michael Gove went to whichever shop it was, and others are available now, he would have a mask on.
Christine, where is the leadership? You're saying there that they have all different opinions within the government. There is a leader. He's called Boris Johnson. People seem to forget him. There is a leader. I'm sure under Margaret Thatcher, remember your days under Margaret Thatcher, there wouldn't be mixed views. There would be one clear line.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, bring back Margaret Thatcher, but please don't blame me for Boris. I'm not a Conservative. But I quite agree. One has to remember that poor old Boris has been very ill, and one does wonder whether he's even now firing on all cylinders.
Long ago now. That no longer watch this.
No, India, come on. It does take some people a huge amount. I mean, we've had friends with COVID, and they are absolutely still not right. We've had two friends, actually, who've died of it. And they're still not right. It does take longer.
I think, India, what you're saying as well,
he's had COVID. Surely if he has had COVID, he understands more than many people the consequences of contracting the virus.
Yeah, I'm absolutely not here to defend the government. They have made some colossal mistakes, and there will be endless reviews and commissions and goodness knows what. But I mean, yes, I agree with you. It is not comforting to the general public to hear the cabinet ministers are disagreeing with each other. We need a clear policy, and everybody needs to know what they have to do. They might disagree with it, but they need to know. And I'm with you on that. We need strong leadership. And yes, absolutely bring back Margaret Thatcher.
The irony is, India, I think all of this is about giving consumer confidence that people will go back to the high street, that they will be interested, they will be less fearful about going shopping. And I actually put it to you, India, Would this make people more cautious, the fact that they have to go shopping in a mask? It might just make them sit at home and either not do it or shop online.
I think you're probably right, Eamonn. I think as soon as you put a mask on, obviously that's the first thing in your head. I mean, I've been shopping since, you know, the rules have been relaxed. I went in yesterday. I didn't have a mask with me because I just went to my local high street, but they have the masks laid out now and the hand gels. And, you know, putting on the mask, I was quite happy to do it. Other people, there were a couple of people just behind me who were going to come in, and they were told that they would need to have a mask, and they carried on and they walked off. But I don't think it's a big deal. How hard is it to put a mask on if you go out shopping?
Yeah.
Well, staying with coronavirus, Christine, there is now a new craze in America where people are having COVID parties, young people, it seems, where they are going to parties and deliberately trying to contract coronavirus. Last week, a 30-year-old man died after he deliberately contracted the disease. This was in Texas. Like playing with fire. I mean, this is unbelievable. What did you think when you heard this story?
Well, I mean, the young, bless them, I was there once, they don't change. This is extraordinary behaviour, and frankly, it's incredibly selfish because they are so unlikely to get it. I mean, they have almost zero chance of getting it, young people, but they can easily transmit it to somebody else. But, you know, in the old, what is the thing that somebody died the other day? I can't remember what it's called, stone jumping or something, when you jump off a cliff or dive into water.
Yeah.
You know, they're completely crazy. But I mean, how can you stop it? We don't live in a police state. They just should be a little bit more unselfish and think about other people. But you know, their chances of dying of of COVID are almost zero, as I say. So for them, it's a zero risk, fun game.
But it's passing it on and taking it home to a household.
They think that, but in Florida, North Carolina, Alabama, Nevada, Utah, they reported record numbers of fatalities yesterday. Total in America standing at 133,000 fatalities to date. Want to stay in America. India, Ghislaine Maxwell. She was denied bail yesterday, and she has to stay locked up until her trial July next year.
Yeah, well, horrendous story. I mean, I think this is probably going to be the biggest story since the days of O.J. Simpson. Everybody is waiting to see what she's going to say in court, and also some of the names that may come out of the infamous little black book that she purportedly holds. I'm so glad her request wasn't granted to stay in the luxury hotel, which she wanted classed as a prison, because obviously Jeffrey Epstein, on his previous conviction, he negotiated a stay in a luxury hotel where he was waited on hand and foot, effectively. But it's going to be fascinating, and I think the question is, we're all waiting to see is, does she actually survive long enough to stand trial? And I just hope the American authorities are, I'm sure they are this time around, they're watching over her 24/7.
Well, Christine, they said that she was a flight risk. She had, I believe, 3 passports. She has citizenship in France, so they were concerned that if she had bail, that she could flee the country and they wouldn't get her back.
Yeah, I completely understand all that, of course, but I think we have to be very careful, because certainly in this country, I know this is the USA, but you are innocent. We all have our suspicions, of course we do. You are innocent unless and until you're proved guilty. So one feels that she's being denied bail because she's rich. Now, of course, she shouldn't be in a luxury hotel, heavens alive. But I can't honestly, on a legal sense, see any reason why she shouldn't be allowed to be under complete surveillance with tags all over her, so you knew when she went from the bedroom to the bathroom. It just seems to me an actually denial of a fair trial. We are judging her in advance. Now, you know, we don't know all the facts. Of course, we all have our suspicions, and some people think they have the knowledge. But I think it's a dangerous precedent. I understand, and it's in the States, but I actually hope that would not have happened in this country, where, you know, innocent until proved guilty.
Okay.
It's
I
very.
think when you look at the gravitas of the case that, you know, and the charges that she faces, I think it's completely understandable, and given her connections and her wealth, that they would want her under lock and key. Even look at Coronation Street. Poor old Yasmin has got, you know, she's under lock and key for her charge. So I think in real life, that Ghislaine should absolutely be in jail.
Quick one to end with, guys. Do you both like alcohol?
It's good for Kath.
Okay, okay. Well, then research suggests that if you're an average drinker, you're getting around 10% of your calorie intake from alcohol. Would it make a difference if there was a label on your wine bottle, your beer bottle, whatever it happens to be, telling you how many calories was in it for you?
Not for me, because I know. I'd rather have another glass of wine than a pudding.
Well, I'm actually doing the keto diet at the moment, and the keto diet is when you cut out all carbs, you just live on meat and cheese and that sort of stuff. And I went out with a friend this week for an Indian, and I had one cheeky vodka, and honestly, it was like being hit by a sledgehammer. So yeah, I'm absolutely in favour. Calories on alcohol.
Calories on alcohol make us think. It might make us think twice about that third gin and tonic. OK.
Thank you very much indeed. Lovely talking to you both. Thanks for your views. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.